Hello and a very good morning. You're watching the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. Let's begin with this morning's headlines. BJP releases first list of candidates for the Bihar polls. Over 50% representation to women and youth, SC and backward castes, given 60% seats. A total of 43 names finalized. With the dengue crisis in Delhi, government calls administrators of private hospitals and nursing homes for talks after another boy dies after allegedly being turned away by them. On day 2 of his tour, Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari is to hold official talks with Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen. He will also give an address on India-Cambodia relations at the Office of Council of Ministers. And the investigation report on the alleged war crimes committed by Sri Lanka in 2009 to be presented to the UN Human Rights Council today. Well, let's begin our bulletin this morning with the latest from poll-bound Bihar. Well, the BJP has released its first list of candidates for the Bihar elections, becoming the first party to do so for the state. The list was announced last night after a meeting between the Prime Minister and senior leaders of the party. Names of 43 candidates have been announced. 60% representation has been given to those from SC and backward castes. 5 nominees are Yadavs. Over 50% of the candidates are women and youth. 26 sitting party MLAs are also in the list, while 3 sitting legislators have been denied tickets. There is no Muslim in the first list. The party has also tried to appease its traditional vote bank by giving tickets to several Brahmins, Bhumihars, Rajputs and Kayasthas. Now, the BJP will fight on 160 seats, while its allies, the LJP, RLSP and HAMS, will contest 40, 23 and 20 seats respectively.
50% से ज्यादा युवाओं को और महिलाओं को स्थान प्रतिनिधित्व दिया है। साथ ही साथ हमारे अनुसूचित जाति, अनुसूचित जनजाति और पिछड़ा वर्ग और अति पिछड़ा वर्ग सभी को समावेश करने का प्रयास रहा है और सबको प्रतिनिधित्व दिया है। इस तरीके से समाज के सभी वर्गों का प्रतिनिधित्व हो, इस बात की विशेष चिंता की गई है।
Meanwhile, the other alliance, the Janta Parivar, met in Patna on Tuesday to discuss distribution of seats among the allies for the forthcoming assembly polls. The alliance had reached a seat-sharing deal earlier. While the ruling JDU and RJD kept 100 seats each for themselves, the Congress was given 40 seats. However, it failed to convince Samajwadi Party to stay in the alliance after offering it a paltry 3 seats. Meanwhile, RJD has picked its president Lalu Prasad to select party candidates for the election starting next month. He will also hold talks with alliance partners on all emerging issues.
केंद्रीय बोर्ड के निर्णय के बाद सभी चीज की जानकारी आपको हो जाएगी।
While the big war is being fought in rallies and on television screens between the two alliances in the fray for Bihar, there is another war being fought on posters across the state. The BJP and the JDU have launched a poster war in Patna targeting each other for making false promises and false claims. Here's more.
The writing is on the wall, or should we say posters. The run-up to Bihar elections seems to be as much about verbal mudslinging as it is about issues. The capital Patna is virtually overcrowded with posters like these. Some canvassing Prime Minister Narendra Modi's special package for the state and others counting the good work done by the state government headed by Nitish Kumar. The fight is not only about the issue at hand, but also about the size and positioning of the posters and also its presentation. The JDU says it's merely responding to the BJP style of canvassing during the Lok Sabha elections.
हमारे नेता नीतीश कुमार जी के नेतृत्व में बिहार में काम बहुत कुछ हुए थे, लेकिन कहीं न कहीं प्रचार युद्ध में हम पीछे रह गए थे, जिसके कारण जनता को उपलब्धियों को पहुंचाने का जो एक अवसर था वो सही तरीके से हम उसका लाभ नहीं उठा पाए। तो पार्टी ने जो समय की मांग है उसको स्वीकार किया और आधुनिकतम तकनीक और जो परंपरागत जो प्रचार की शैली है, दोनों का मिश्रण हमारा है।
The BJP too is accusing Nitish Kumar of false propaganda.
इस तरह का आरोप वैसे ही लोग लगा रहे हैं जो आज तक बिहार के अंदर जातीय विद्वेषता पैदा किए हैं, जात को खंड खंड में बांटने का काम किए हैं, भ्रष्टाचार में लिप्त रहे हैं, अहंकार में डूबे हुए हैं। वो लोग तरह तरह के हथकंडा अपना रहे हैं और एनडीए की ओर इशारा करते हैं। तो इससे कुछ होने जाने वाला नहीं है। एनडीए मजबूत है।
The BJP hasn't announced its chief ministerial candidate for Bihar, so the high voltage fight is being fought on the ground and these posters between Nitish Kumar and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. With inputs from Pranav Goswami, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, joining me for a chat this morning to talk about the Bihar polls is Sanjay Kapoor, editor of The Hard News. Sanjay, thank you for joining me and good morning to you.
Good morning.
You know, the gloves are well and truly off and we are heading towards a no-holds-barred contest in Bihar. And, you know, it has all the elements to turn out to be an extremely interesting contest in Bihar, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt about that. I mean, the gloves have been off for quite a while. And if you have been watching many of the rallies that have taken place, both by the Prime Minister in Bihar as well as by the Gathbandhan, led by Nitish Kumar, you realize that, you know, there is no illusion whatsoever that it's going to be, they would be nice to each other. But the truth is they're getting nastier as the days go by. And if you look at, you know, how the both sides are stacked up, it's an indication of how close the battle is going to be, because it's not just two political formations which are fighting against each other. There are two competing narratives which are also at each other's throat at the moment. And the confusion is immense because Nitish Kumar till some time back was part of a BJP-led, the BJP was part of it. And now he's contesting alone. So there is, you know, it's difficult to package even what is it called anti-incumbency against him, because BJP was part of it. And then there you have one of our major players who was part of Nitish Kumar's, Jitan Majhi, who's crossed over to the BJP alliance. So it's such a mishmash that I'm sure it's going to challenge every voter who steps out and actually goes there.
Is this election also going to be an election of egos? Because, you know, it's Nitish Kumar versus Prime Minister Narendra Modi, so is it going to be personal?
There is so much of, you know, history to whatever is happening. Nitish Kumar has never concealed his antagonism and opposition to Mr. Narendra Modi from the very early days. I mean, those facts are being brought up time and again in many of the rallies that Prime Minister Modi has addressed. But you look at some of the surveys that are coming out, they show that, you know, they are so close. Yesterday I was watching one where they were showing that the Gathbandhan led by Nitish Kumar has got 43% of the votes, and the BJP-led alliance NDA has got about 39%. But the seat difference that they were showing, which is very difficult to estimate in the best circumstances, was just about 4 seats. So there is a lot of absurdity built into the way people are projecting or predicting what is going to be the outcome. Primarily because not many people know. It seems at the moment hugely divided. Too close to call. But I'm telling you, initially it seems like that. Once you get into hit the ground and you figure out that people have made up their minds, it's not going to be so, you can say, tight as it seemed. You remember what happened in Delhi. Everybody used to say too close to call. You had the Prime Minister actually pitching his entire reputation, and an enormous amount of resources were spent also, and you had a different kind of results. So I'm not very sure how it is going to unpack itself as the days go by, but this is an election to watch out for.
It is an election to watch out for, but is it also an election, a make-or-break election for both the alliances?
No, it is going to be, it is going to be more a case for the Janata Dal Alliance, because what has really happened for most of the members of Janata Parivar is that they have realized that if they are not able to win this, then the political longevity gets questioned. I mean, all these leaders would have to wait for another 5-7 years. Some will go away. And life is going to be very difficult for them in the opposition, especially with the kind of, you can say, the stand that they have taken against the Prime Minister, against the BJP. It would seem not just for the Janata Parivar, but also the opposition, that even coming together doesn't really help you win against the BJP.
How much of a difference is the seat distribution really going to make in these elections, do you think?
Colossal. I mean, the big difference is normally made by seat distribution, because now it has become very, very technical, very, you can say, sophisticated the way they do it. So they just don't confine themselves to the seat, but also on the neighboring seat, its impact, And there is, I think, a great amount of nibbling into each other's constituencies, social constituencies, which happens. So if they have a Yadav opposition, they'll probably put a couple of dummy candidates. So the dummies are going to make the prediction of any kind of election far more difficult.
Indeed. All right, Sanjay, we'll have to leave to that. Thank you so much for joining us on the program and putting things into perspective for us. Now, another interesting aspect to the polls in Bihar is the entry of MIM into the fray. The Asauddin Owaisi-led party has announced it will contest about 25 seats in the Muslim-dominated area of Seemanchal. The decision has irked the Grand Secular Alliance that sees it as an attempt to cut into its Muslim vote bank. Here's more.
हमने फैसला लिया है कि सीमांचल के इलाके तक ही हम इलेक्शन लड़ेंगे। कितने सीट लड़ेंगे वो पार्टी फैसला करेगी। हमारा किसी पार्टी से अलायंस नहीं होगा।
The All India Majlis-e-Ittehadul Muslimin spreading outside Telangana, first to Maharashtra and now to Bihar. This announcement by its chief invoking sharp reaction from the Grand Secular Alliance in Bihar comprising the JDU, RJD and the Congress. The MIM's decision to only contest in the Muslim-majority region of Seemanchal has given fodder to the Secular Alliance to accuse it of entering Bihar to benefit the BJP. Both Owaisi and the BJP have called the allegations baseless.
ये दो ध्रुवीय लड़ाई है, इसमें किसी तीसरे पक्ष की गुंजाइश नहीं है, चाहे वो ओवैसी साहब हो या कोई हो।
एनडीए जिस तरह से बिहार के अंदर मजबूत हो चुका है, उसमें कोई भी आ जाए, चुनाव लड़े, लेकिन एनडीए अपने मुकम्मल पे पहुंचेगी।
But for representatives of the Muslim community in Bihar, this announcement by Owaisi is a direct result of what they say is the marginalization of the community in the state. The MIM plans to contest nearly 25 seats in Kishanganj, Arya, and Katihar districts.
ओवैसी साहब जो यहाँ आए हैं तो यहाँ तक जब पहुँच गए, यहाँ के लीडरशिप के बुनियाद पर वो पहुँच गए। यहाँ के जितने लीडर हैं सीमांचल से जो वोट लेते हैं, उस वोट की नुमाइंदगी उन्होंने नहीं किया, लगातार अनदेखी किया है।
इतने बड़े समुदाय के लिए हर सतह पर उसकी हिस्सेदारी को जब सही किया जाएगा तो उसकी तरक्की होगी, और इसमें कमी है सियासी हिस्सेदारी में भी, रोजगार में भी।
The Muslim vote has been a strong base for the Grand Secular Alliance, and Owaisi's entry means that there could be a sharp polarization in these votes. But with a weak organizational structure in Bihar, it will be a challenge for the MIM to dent the Secular Alliance's votes. With inputs from Pranab Goswami, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, let's shift focus to the dengue crisis in the national capital. Now, a 6-year-old boy succumbed to dengue on Sunday after several Delhi hospitals allegedly refused to treat him despite the government's notice asking them not to deny admission to any dengue patient on account of lack of beds. Delhi is grappling with its worst dengue outbreak in 5 years.
Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal paid surprise visits to city's hospitals on Tuesday to check on preparedness in the wake of the capital's worst dengue outbreak in 5 years. Kejriwal's surprise visits come in the backdrop of another boy succumbing to dengue on Sunday and his family alleging negligence by hospitals in the city.
मैं 5-6 हॉस्पिटलों में चला गया था, जैसे कि 2 बार तो सफदरजंग में ही चला गया था, तो बेड खाली नहीं थे, बस होली फैमिली में लास्ट में एडमिट कराया था।
The incident comes almost a week after 5 hospitals turned away 7-year-old Avinash, causing his death and driving his parents to commit suicide. A magisterial probe has been ordered in the parents' deaths. 11 people have so far died of dengue this year.
सरकार एक कानून लाने की सोच रही है। अगले 1-2 दिन के अंदर हो सकता है विधानसभा का स्पेशल सत्र बुलाया जाए, एक ऐसा कानून लाया जाए कि ऐसे हॉस्पिटल्स के ऊपर पेनल्टी लगाई जा सके।
While the Delhi government ordered an extra 1,000 beds for public hospitals to treat dengue patients in an emergency meeting on Monday, the situation on the ground presents a very different story as hospitals continue to be short of staff and resources.
मेरे पास कैपेसिटी नहीं है तो मैं उस पेशेंट को यहाँ कैसे रखूं? अगर मैं उस पेशेंट को सीरियस पेशेंट को एडमिट करता हूं तो उसकी वजह से 7 बेड की जगह 8 बेड बढ़ाता हूं आईसीयू में, तो बाकी 7 पेशेंट भी सफर करेंगे क्योंकि मेरे पास स्टाफ भी सेम है, डॉक्टर्स भी सेम है और ऑलरेडी इस वक्त बहुत शॉर्टेज चल रही है नर्सेस की दिल्ली में।
Amid reports of alleged refusal to admit dengue patients, the Delhi government has summoned administrators of all private hospitals and nursing homes in the city for talks. There have been 1,872 dengue cases recorded so far this year, the highest number since 2009, when 1,512 cases were reported. Doctors say the number of cases this year could go up further since the strain of the virus is more powerful this time around. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, it's time for a short break now, but still to come. Thousands of migrants stranded at the Serbia-Hungary border since yesterday after the Hungarian government closed the frontier with a new razor wire fence. That and much more on the other side. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Tales that inspire, stories of social change. A salute to diversity, promoting public discourse. Events that motivate, inspiring the innovative spirit. Watch Rajya Sabha television documentaries every Friday at 10:30 p.m, Saturday 12:30 p.m, and Sunday at 1 p.m.
As science beckons India into the future, Rajya Sabha Television partakes the responsibility, bringing technology to the Indian people.
Let's take a look at various important science events in the country,
monitoring scientific advances as they unravel.
Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change has proposed a complete ban on fossil fuels.
Welcome to Eureka.
Interviewing the country's greatest minds. Project the power of science to benefit and transform India. Rajya Sabha Television, democracy at work.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha Television. Well, Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari is on a two-nation tour to Cambodia and Laos. He reached the Cambodian capital Phnom Penh on Tuesday evening. Today, he will hold official talks with Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen and will also meet the President of the Cambodian National Assembly. Several MOUs will be signed after delegation-level talks. Neelu Vyas and Om Prakash bring you this report.
Grand ceremonial welcome for Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari at the Cambodian capital Phnom Penh. Embarking on a two-nation tour, the Vice President will hold extensive talks with the leadership of Cambodia and Lao People's Democratic Republic over the next 3 days. In a bid to strengthen India's Look East and Act East policy, the Vice President stressed on the need to improve ties with these Asian countries.
जो सरकार की पॉलिसी लुक ईस्ट एक्ट ईस्ट उसमें ये आसियान का हिस्सा है और इसलिए इनके साथ संबंध बढ़ाना हमारे लिए बहुत जरूरी है.
The Vice President's visit to Cambodia at the invitation of Prime Minister Hun Sen will focus particularly on shoring up bilateral trade and investment, which remains much below the potential.
लाओस है, कंबोडिया है, वियतनाम तक ये सब एक कंटिन्यूअस वो है और डिस्टेंसेस कम हैं, कनेक्टिविटी पे दोनों सब देश काम कर रहे हैं. तो जैसे कनेक्टिविटी बढ़ेगी उसका लाभ हमको मिलेगा नॉर्थ ईस्ट में सबसे पहले.
Cambodia is a growing economy, maintaining a growth rate of 7% over the last several years. It is seeking greater socio-economic development in terms of infrastructure and capacity building. Cambodia is also an important partner of India among the ASEAN countries. The Vice President's trip will reaffirm the bilateral relations, including commercial and investment ties.
We are doing what we can do best. Capacity building, some specialized areas of assistance like water resources
like telecommunication, transmission lines, and these matters.
The Vice President will leave for Lao People's Democratic Republic on the 17th of September. With Om Prakash and Neelu Vyas from Cambodia, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, let's take a look now at the events lined up for today in our segment, The Day Ahead. The Union Government will hold a cabinet meeting today to discuss various important issues like Shyam Prasad Mukherjee Rural Mission and ordinance to implement the Negotiable Instruments Act and creation of an authority to administer industrial corridors. The ambitious urban mission is expected to help reduce migration from rural to urban areas, with modern infrastructure being created in villages, as the present high rate of migration was creating heavy pressure on the civic infrastructure in India's cities. Sri Lankan Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe will meet Finance Minister Arun Jaitley today. He will also call on President Pranab Mukherjee later in the day. Ranil Wickremesinghe, who is on a 3-day visit to India, arrived in Delhi on the 13th of September on his first official visit overseas since being appointed Prime Minister in January this year. The 55th National Open Athletics Championship will begin at Sai Complex in Kolkata today. India's top athletes, including the Olympics-bound trio of Indrajit Singh, Lalita Babar and Tintu Luka, will vie for honours in the event. The 4-day event will have competitions in 44 events in men's and women's sections. It will see more than 900 athletes from across 28 states and 8 boards in action. Well, let's shift focus now to our top international story. The investigation report mandated by the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights on the alleged war crimes committed by Sri Lanka in 2009 will be presented to the UN Human Rights Council today. On Monday, the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Zayed Ra'ad Al Hussein, told the 30th session of the UN HRC that the findings in the investigation report were of the most serious nature. The Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights was mandated in March 2014 to investigate allegations of war crimes and violations of human rights at the peak and the final stages of the civil war in 2009 committed by both parties in Sri Lanka. The report was to be presented in the March session this year but was deferred as a goodwill gesture towards the Maithripala Sirisena government, who had taken over in January. Well, thousands of migrants have been stranded at the Serbia-Hungary border since yesterday after the Hungarian government closed the frontier with a new razor wire fence. The mainland route being used by the migrants to reach the European Union Schengen zone was sealed, forcing hundreds to spend the night under open skies. Desperate to enter into the EU in search of a better life, hundreds of them began protesting at the motorway leading westward. Hungary's crackdown on migrants entering the country has come in for sharp criticism from the UN and several human rights groups who say Hungary has breached international law. US President Barack Obama has also expressed concern at the refugee crisis in Europe and said it requires cooperation from all EU nations. He also said that it's important to treat migrants with a shared humanity, adding that the US was ready to accept more refugees as well.
Agreed that this is going to require cooperation with all the European countries and the United States and the international community in order to ensure that people are safe, that they are treated with shared humanity, and that we ultimately have to deal with the source of the problem, which is the ongoing crisis in Syria.
A look now at the other stories from around the globe in World Wrap. President Barack Obama will offer his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping a full state welcome at the White House on September 25th. Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama will host Xi and his wife Peng Liyuan at an official state dinner, the White House has announced. The prestigious welcome comes after Obama made a similar trip to China in November 2014. US Senate Democrats once again blocked the legislation meant to kill the Iran nuclear deal, derailing the Republicans' attempt for the second time in a week. The resolution disapproving the July 14 nuclear deal with Iran was blocked in a 56-42 procedural vote, short of the 60 votes required to move to an up or down vote on the international agreement. The Senate had previously blocked the same measure last Thursday, effectively ending the GOP-controlled Congress's fight with President Barack Obama over the deal and ensuring he will be able to implement it. The 70th session of the United Nations General Assembly opened on Tuesday with Mogens Lykketoft of Denmark taking over as the body's new president. On his first day, Lykketoft called to order the session's first meeting and led the international body in a silent prayer. The 70th session of the General Assembly hopes to tackle some of the thorniest global issues such as climate change, sustainable development, peace building and drug abuse. Militia forces loyal to Yemen's exiled president clashed once again with the Houthi rebels in Taiz town of Yemen on Tuesday. Intense fighting has left the city in ruins, forcing residents to flee to other parts. More than 4,300 people have died in the conflict as hunger, disease and suffering have spread in the impoverished country. The clashes have been going on since the Houthis stepped back from the southern port city of Aden. Well, moving on to some sports news now. Let's bring you up to date with the overnight's sports news in our sports beat. Shuttlers Jwala Gutta and Ashwini Ponnappa along with Sumit Reddy and Manu Attri have been included in the Target Olympic Podium scheme. Under the scheme, the athletes are eligible to get finances from the National Sports Development Fund for training and equipment. Earlier, Gutta criticized the ministry for overlooking them for the scheme. India's mixed doubles pair of Tarun Kona and Sikki Reddy failed to cross the opening hurdle of the Korea Open Super Series badminton tournament. The pair went down to top-seeded Chinese duo of Zhang Nan and Zhao Yunli in straight games 11-21, 10-21 in less than half an hour. Sikki will now pair up with her women's doubles partner Pradanya Gadre to face Japan's Shizuka Matsunad Mami Naito in the opening round today. Top shuttlers including PV Sindhu, Kidambi Srikanth and Parupalli Kashyap will start their campaign today. Cristiano Ronaldo scored a hat-trick to become the all-time top scorer in Champions League history and lead Real Madrid to a 4-0 victory over Shakhtar Donetsk in the Champions League group stages. Karim Benzema opened the scoring for Real before Ronaldo netted 3 to take his Champions League goals tally to 80 and round off an emphatic victory. Manchester United lost its opening Champions League football match against PSV Eindhoven 1-2. Memphis Depay scored the first goal of the game for the Red Devils, but PSV replied back immediately as Hector Moreno netted just before half-time to make the score 1-1. Luciano Narsing scored the second goal for PSV to win the tie. Italian champions Juventus came back from a goal down to beat Manchester City 2-1 in the Champions League group stage match. City took a 57th minute lead, courtesy Giorgio Chiellini own goal. Juventus then rallied as strikers Alvaro Morata and Mario Mandzukic scored in the 70th and 81st minute to win the game for Juventus. Well, that's it on this edition of the Breakfast News. Have a nice day.